Hey everyone, this week we have a very small update for Haze Reverb, so let's go over the stuff that we got this week. First off is the banner for Suzuki. Suzuki is a unit that is already existing in the game, so she's not new, she's not limited, and for that reason, definitely don't pull her. But an additional reason is that summer is coming up very soon. The summer season for most games will start in July, and you can expect there to be summer units, and from what we know of the summer units in the Taiwanese server, they're quite strong, and therefore just save up for those units that are coming up. That's also partially why I said don't pull for Kyoka in the collab, or at least don't go for her skill ups, because the summer units coming up, there should be at least one transcendent unit, and the transcendent summer units are quite good as far as I know. Therefore, just wait for those. But we'll go over Suzuki's skills. She is a dodge damage reduction unit, right? She gains mobility permanently at the start of the battle. She also has naturally high mobility. She has 25% natural mobility plus 5% from her affinity. So adding those together, she'll get 70% mobility. And therefore, if you want to reach 100% mobility, you will need either a buff from a unit that can buff mobility or one mobility core. A pure mobility core is 30%, and therefore, with just one mobility core, you will reach 100%. Then her damage scales of mobility and attack, and she also gains life back when she kills the enemy. I don't know how likely this will be, especially in this meta. Units are very tanky, a lot of max armor units, which she can't get through. And there's also Hlock shields, which she'll probably just get reflected on and die. Similar to Tenka, I think it has like a similar kit to this, where she gains a lot of mobility. And both Tenka and Suzuki have 100% dodge damage reduction, right? For Suzuki, this is at rank 10. Therefore, she's a very high investment unit if you want her for this purpose, which is, I guess, the main reason to have her. It's a little unfortunate, and I just don't think it's worth the investment right at the moment. So just hold. If you have her, just don't put any books into her. And that is pretty much it for her skill kit, right? Similar issues to Tenka, like they both basically perform the same role. Just that Suzuki needs a mobility core. I could see her being usable in things like Moon Abyss, right? But if you have Tenka already, I don't think you need another mobility dodge unit. Especially considering how many skill ups she will need to reach that point. You're probably better off using those skill ups elsewhere. Now, a couple of other things we got that were new is the overlimits. So we got an overlimit for Suzuki, which is, surprise, surprise, she's on the current banner to entice you to do some pulls for her. But as I said, don't bother with that. And also Kurobane also got a overlimit. So let's go over the overlimits and what they do. Unfortunately, I had to upgrade all this just to see what it does, but I've done it so that you don't have to. This is quite an expensive investment, but basically all it adds is damage ignores resistance on one of her abilities, and she has to be above 50% for this to trigger, which I guess it will be most of the time. It's very rare that you'll survive on below 50% in PvP. Everything just does so much damage, or they just take no damage. Right, but this can help you against some units, like I guess this helps against Shushu because she has a damage resistance. Mira also has one, however, she'll generally be protected by guards with taunts or auto taunts. Therefore, it'll be very difficult to get this to reach a Mira to attack her. But I guess technically it is a counter to her. And then this skill is meant to be upgraded, or at least it's listed here for some reason. However, if you compare this description to the normal description, there is absolutely no difference. When defeating an enemy, heals for 10% of your own HP. And if you go into here, So averting all evils, it changes this one and adds the ignore damage res, but this one is exactly the same. And I think maybe it's just the skill or the overlimit upgrades this entire box, but they just the only thing that actually changes is the core output section, right? That's all that matters. Of course, she also gained some stats. However, none of these will really like affect her that much because she's a mobility unit. She gains some HP. That's nice. In fact, her resonance gear increases her HP for whatever reason. It would make more sense for it to increase mobility. However, it is what it is. And then a little bit of flat attack and HP, but probably won't be anything to write home about. So I would skip this overlimit. Don't bother with it. Of course, also don't bother leveling a Suzuki at the moment. It's just not really worth it. And for Kurobane, her resonance gear is this. Basically, I feel there is a bit of a translation error here, right? First off, this one doesn't change, similar to the part 2 of Suzuki's one. This one doesn't change, only the first one changes. However, if you check the... just take note of this, right? I believe what it's describing here is this dot will last for 6 turns, and the dot will deal 7% of their max HP. Right? I think that's how it's describing it. I don't think this is a separate debuff. I believe this is how much the dot damage is meant to be. But if you look here, this is the skill that it's changing. So it does continuous damage for 6 turns, but the damage equals target's life upper limit, which I guess this is meant to say target's max HP, but it's 62.5%. And then the resonance gear is 7%, which makes no sense. However, a dot dealing 62.5% is also ridiculous, right? That's a lot of damage, right? And I think what it actually means, I think what is wrong here is that the decimal place is in the wrong section. So I think this is meant to be 6.25%, and then the overlimit increases it to 7%. I believe that's how it works. Probably a translation error. And of course, this one, no change. But basically, she's a debuffing unit that reduces damage, as in like the enemy's like actual attack stats. And then she also does dots as her own like personal damage. But none of this is particularly useful anyway, so I just don't recommend building her regardless. And yeah, so but she has an overlimit. That's something new, but not worth building. Actually, also for Suzuki, she has a new skin in the battle pass, and therefore if you want to spend the $10 to upgrade the battle pass and get her skin, that is up to you. I'll let you go check out that skin because it doesn't look like a very YouTube friendly skin, and I think you understand what it means. Therefore I won't show it on the screen, but you might like to go check it out. Yeah, so in summary, don't pull for Suzuki and don't bother upgrading either of the overlimits. Just keep working on the support ones that are useful, like Fleur, Maybell, etc. If you haven't done them yet. If you have done them, just wait until there's a better overlimit to upgrade. Personally, for me, I haven't upgraded an overlimit for weeks because there's nothing I really want to upgrade, and therefore, yeah, I'm just waiting for something better to come out. And of course, wait for the subunits, which I would expect them to come in about 2 weeks. We'll see when that actually happens, and I'll update you when they do. Alright, so that's it for this week. Thanks for watching, and enjoy a bit of a break from pulling on collabs and all that. Save up your resources and get ready for the summer events. Alright, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.